Cory Talbot. Talbot's going to the radio show. Anything you want to say, Talbot, before you go to the radio program?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. All right. Talk about it. Cory Norris is here with Cory. You got anything, any troubles you want to expound upon for founder of Election Tea Party, by the way?
Troubles?
Anything you want to say to the group that you're concerned about? How about the German dialect and how ill is talking about it?
Anglian dialect?
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot more to say about that.
I would just keep it.
Okay.
Bill Burbage.
I'll run my mouth about anything.
Bill Burbage has something for you. He had an article published.
He's got a pound of bologna?
That's it. You're right on target. That's it. Well, I thought Cory was going to say the Ponzi scheme. You know what that
Well,
is.
yeah, no. I got to keep paying for his retirement, so you can keep complaining about Social Security. But I've personally been working on the Sheriff First initiative more than anything, and
a lot of people don't know what that is. You want to tell everyone here about that?
Well, it hasn't been introduced yet, but we'll get introduced in January. Legislation that would require any federal agent operating within the boundaries of a county to have written permission from their sheriff that expires. The model legislation we have right now doesn't have this extra caveat in there, but we'll make sure it gets added. That and then within a certain period of time after the expiration date, it must be public record. Permission slip, if you will, must be public record. So, it doesn't prevent. It doesn't have to change the status quo if a sheriff doesn't want to, except that they would have to give written permission. It basically returns the power of, I hesitate to say law enforcement, but enforcement of the peace to the duly elected officer. And takes it, it doesn't have to take it away from the federal government. That's the thing. That's the thing that I think is important to note, because most people don't realize a lot, your sheriffs and your local and your state law enforcement have just wheelbarrows full of money poured into them from the feds. And they're not going to be chomping at the bit to bite the hand that feeds them. And that's fine. You don't have to. You just have to make sure they have written permission before they do something. If a federal agent is caught operating within the boundaries of a county without that written permission, then they would be charged with any crime that they're committing. So if they come to take your house, if it's the Department of the Treasury or IRS agent comes to take your house, then that's grand theft. And if they come to take you, that would be kidnapping. And which is the way it should be. And it also, the legislation would also compel the prosecuting attorneys to not give any plea deals. Must charge and go through court. But if a sheriff doesn't want to change anything, they don't have to. They just have to make sure that the agents have written permission.
Cory, thank you. Anything else?
I got a question.
Dr. Wood.
Yeah, any response from the county sheriff yet, and what's the situation with Sheriff Mack at this stage? Any response on that?
We think we might be getting, it's not in concrete, but that whole thing that the Murder Beach Tea Party is doing in January, we think we might have Sheriff Mack coming for that. It's not in concrete yet. And it's an uphill battle with the sheriffs. Some may be willing to voice their support of it behind the closed door, and not necessarily outside of the closed door, but they don't get a vote in the General Assembly. So it would be nice to have sheriffs supporting it, but theoretically speaking, there doesn't have to be a single sheriff supporting it when it comes to who votes for it.
Well, what sheriff is going to want to arrest an FBI agent?
There's a lot of them out there, you'd be surprised.
They probably have a closet claims of that.
Listen, here's the other thing too. You have to understand human nature. People like having that power. They like having that upper hand.
Well, but if a sheriff tried to arrest an FBI agent, the FBI would simply turn around and arrest the sheriff.
They don't have the authority to do it.
Well, the fact that they do.
No, they don't. They have no jurisdictional authority within the confines of a county, which is also within the confines of a sovereign state. They do,
Theoretically, by law, that may be true, but the fact that they do not. Wouldn't happen.
Well, you know, you're wrong, and it has happened. It's happened out in New Mexico. It's happened in Northern California. It's happened in Montana. They basically Fish and Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife. They didn't have to. It didn't get to that point. U.S. Fish and Wildlife basically told in New Mexico they couldn't cut down trees, and the sheriff showed up and said, "You back the hell down. We're cutting down the trees. You know, whatever." And they basically cut down the however many trees, and they sliced them up into individual pieces. And deputies carried the pieces and said, "I dare you to arrest us. I dare you. You will be charged. You will be arrested. And you will be charged." The bottom line is that they don't have jurisdictional authority within the confines of a county. Without Sheriff Metz has basically carte blanche permission slip for the feds in Lexington County. Well, why? Why would he need it? If they are supreme, if they are above the county, why would he even want to do that?
This is most entertaining. It's 8 o'clock, so officially we're ended, but everybody stay as long as you want to. Our majority leader back from the House, and it's a real honor to have Kenny with us today, has a question for you.
Seriously, only how do you keep the sheriffs in check, assuming that they had, you know, a situation where there's something in the agency or whatever? I know that SLED typically would, but sometimes there's a situation where SLED, it may have conflict or whatever, and so they would then go to the FBI. Is there addressing that issue? I know it's not normal, it would be one of those extreme issues. I was just wondering, is there, you know how that would be handled or how it would work? Because obviously in that situation, you just want to notify the sheriff and do an investigation.
The same way we keep you in check. About votes. That's the way it should be.
No other way to keep that sheriff from.
Well, the court system. You know, if a sheriff is operating outside the boundaries of the law, it would be a foregone conclusion. You would expect that the court system would decide against the sheriff. There is, in the legislation, it allows for federal agents to come into the county without the sheriff's permission if they're investigating the sheriff.
That's what I was asking.
Okay. But the reason why I was being a little bit verbose about it is because I've heard people say, well, you know, those local guys, they get corrupt, and the only way to fix that is for the feds to come in. But somehow the feds are divinely ordained and benevolent beyond all abilities. So I mean, beyond all. They never get corrupt. You know, they never overstep the bounds of the law. It's counterintuitive.
So there's an exception if they are
They have to have permission from the Attorney General.
Okay, that's it.
And that's it. But yet, theoretically, well, not theoretically, actually, the ballot box is the way to keep the sheriff in check overall.
Let me say this before some of you have to leave. Stay here, you know, another hour or so if you want to. I'll be here a little while longer. But Bill West could not be with us today. So Kenny, he asked to get a picture of you. I think, Eddie, did you get a picture? I'll get a picture. I don't know if I did or not. Took so many. He wants to do a little article with George Mason.
But that's what you're doing. Is that everything? Good way to get out of the unemployment in the country? You better. But you can't come.
See it? Get a picture of Kenny. And I want to say Bill West's wife is having some tests done, so he can't be here. So I got to remind you of this though before you leave. Christmas trees, and I will say Kenny usually comes by to get one. You can get one this year, Kenny. We have Christmas tree distribution on 12th Street at the Sonic Lodge. And so if you've forgotten, a lot of you signed up to help distribute Christmas trees. I'm going to help. And I won't, if you don't show up, I won't call you. I won't be there. I won't be there at 12 noon. We're going to load my Christmas trees. I'll be eating. All right. But after I eat, I'm going to help. And just as a reminder, John Diamond started this process, and I promised him I'd keep doing it. And I make a promise to keep this group going, that's what I'm trying to do. So if somebody wants to take over Christmas tree or something, I'm not going to fight you about it. So feel free to come up. And anyway, we'll have a good time starting Thursday getting the Christmas trees out. And Santa Claus happens to be over here. Maybe we'll talk about your Santa Claus.